Showtime.
It's about that time.
Let's go.
You're right where you need to be. This is GCOM Radio.
Hardest radio station on the planet. Yeah.
Powered by Lyfeblood.com.
We certified.
And hosted by Nova Phoenix.
Give them that flavor.
Ryan Little.
What's going on, y'all? What is going on? Yo. We are here for a show. We are here for another show. Thank you guys for listening to GCOM Radio. How are you doing, everyone that's out there? I appreciate you tuning in and turning on your radios or you know, flipping whatever on your iPhone and whatever devices that you have and you listen to this show right now. I do truly appreciate it. I'd like to apologize. Sorry for getting on this show late. Some things happened. Again, I know things happened last week. You know, life happened again this week, and it was like out of nowhere, and it is what it is, you know, but I'm still here for this week with the show. My week is all right. It was cool. Just grinding it out, doing things as always as I do, and doing it the best, and looking at the road down the horizon and see which direction I'm gonna go in. Oh man, it's beautiful. We just got hit with a little bit of cold up in here in New York. That's all good, but it was nothing compared to what we've been dealing with all winter. And this winter wasn't really a winter, man. It was like a mild coolness with a sprinkle of some cold days. We haven't been getting even a lot of sun. We just had like a little flurry, like a quarter of a flurry a couple days ago. It was nothing. I don't know. I think it could be really hot this summer. You know, with such a mild winter, I think it's going to come in and it's going to be blazing. That sun is going to be cooking the concrete. Yeah, man. So yeah, I got a few things that I want to talk about that I came up with, that I've been looking up and see what's going on. A lot of things has been happening, getting around, and I am just setting it up. Excuse me. Sorry, folks. I'm just trying to get my thing all together here. All right, yeah, man. So I'm going to get this thing going, man. All right, what's going on, y'all? I am your host, Nova Phoenix, on GCOM Radio, on iHeartRadio. I ain't say that in a minute. And we're going to bring the first topic of the show so we can get this thing rocking and rolling. I like to, again, I like to give right before I start, I like to give a special shout out to my niece, her birthday. That's what kind of delayed me last week. And in the midst of everything else, if I didn't mention it, I'd like to say I wish her a great happy belated birthday. She turned 16. She got her first job. She's doing a thing. She's growing up. It's beautiful, man. To see them growing up before my eyes. I was looking at old pictures, seeing her when she was small, and I'm like, wow, I forgot that. Yeah, man, time certainly flies. And now she's 16, and it's like I'm gonna close my eyes and open it, and she's gonna be ready for college, man. She's gonna be off. I don't know. God knows where she's gonna end up. I personally think she's gonna leave New York to go to school and to further her education, and I'm cool with that. I'm looking forward to her just being like, yo, I'm off, and you know, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, my niece. And wherever she ends up, you know, I wish her the best. And she's a smart young lady, and she's got a lot of great things that's going to line up for her as long as she stays the course. Yeah, man. So all right, so we're gonna get into the first thing. It was the Oscars. I did not watch the Oscars. I did not watch it. I totally forgot. I really did. I honestly forgot. Next thing you know, I saw it on Yahoo. I went on my phone. I'm like, the Oscars? That shit went down? Yo. But, you know, so I don't want to be like a snob or whatever like that movie. I don't watch the Oscars. It is so corny, and they're just doing it to sell, you know, to sell the movies, and there's all this pomp and this highfalutin. All right. That's one part of it, but at the same time, who doesn't like to watch the Oscars in any other way, man? Looking at these blessed blessed folks, meaning they just got blessed to have a career where they make good money and they can raise their families, and they have all the upside. Let's say all the upsides of being into Hollywood. Let's not say that there aren't upsides, but they come there, do anything, trying to make noise for themselves, and promoting whatever they promoting, and it's funny. A lot of times they just do it for clicks and attention, and as we know, we living in the social media age. They're trying to get the Twitterverse going, and they certainly do. They certainly do. But this Oscars to me was different. This Oscars really, I think the theme for this Oscars 2023 was perseverance. Do not let your dreams go, because once you keep going at it, no matter what, you don't give up, because at the end of the tunnel, and you may want to feel like giving up, but at the end of the tunnel, you come out where the sun is shining and the warmth is on your shoulders and on your cheeks, and you're embracing it. You're embracing all the love that you made it out through that dark part of your life. And I'm speaking of, I'm gonna get to it too. Here they saying the best picture was, of course, Everything Everywhere All at Once. That I haven't seen a movie, but I'm really interested in it. I've been trying to rent it. Maybe I should buy it, but this movie is really kicking off. Best actor, and who I'm talking about is Brendan Fraser. I remember Brendan Fraser from way back before The Mummy, when he first started, when I think it was called Encino Man, the young Brendan Fraser. And then, you just saw him kind of like his career rise to heights. And then I think the pinnacle of his career is when he did The Mummy. And then all of a sudden he disappeared. I don't know what happened. I think I heard that he was going through some tough times. I think it was addiction. I don't know. It was something like that. He fell back. He just disappeared. Gone. He did like 3 mummies, and then he was no longer there. And it's almost like, at this point, from the outside looking in, every rising star in Hollywood goes through the same issue. They go hard. They achieve their dreams. They actually accept the gifts with open arms, and they get this huge explosive entrance into Hollywood with the movies that they've done. And then it's too much fame, too much attention, too much alcohol, too much of the good things that comes with having fame and money, and then they fall off a deep end, and then they turn in on themselves and they disappear, and they're like, oh man, it's terrible, and they end up with addictions and all this, and then you find that they got troubles that they carried with them throughout their whole career, and it's crazy. But Brendan Fraser, he disappeared, and then I'm like, finally saw Brendan Fraser came out of nowhere, and you see him with his weight gain. I'm like, whoa, what happened? Because I got The Mummy stuck in my head, the slender debonair guy that gets the girl, and he's defeating the ancient 1,000-year-old mummy, evil dude, and that's what I know of Brendan Fraser. In shape. And then when I saw him, I was like, what happened? Oh man, what's going on? But lo and behold, this dude comes out a little bit later, like a couple of years later, and he comes out with this movie called The Whale, which he won Best Actor in. And I don't know the premise of the movie. I haven't seen the movie, but of course, there's this man that's severely overweight. He had to put on a fat suit, Brendan Fraser, for the role. And it's about, from what I gathered from the pieces that I've seen, is about the trials and tribulations of what it is to be this man or whatever he's going through, but his weight has something to do with it, with his feeling about himself, and he goes through this test of life, and he comes out the better end. So all better. The Whale, of course, there's a message to it, but I know that there's a heartfelt a message within that film, and I want to see it. But yeah, seeing Brendan Fraser win the Oscar, to me, it was like, oh my God. And he said he did that he didn't even think he was going to be coming back here, and he said it on stage when he accepted the award, that he was like, yo, this is an alternate universe. He never thought that he would be back in front of all those folks, in front of his peers, getting an award for a movie that I'm pretty sure he never thought he would be even being accepted into a movie for a role. I certainly know that he didn't think he was going to win the Oscar, and it blew him away. And I feel so happy for him. That I feel genuine happiness for Brendan Fraser for everything that he went through, and then he's up on stage and accepting that award, and somebody else. Oh, Best Actress with Michelle Yeoh, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Best Original Song, Natu Natu. That's a dope song. I think who is the choreographer for that dance piece. Best International Feature Film was All Quiet on the Western Front. Best Supporting Actor. This is the other guy that I really, I wish I could hug this dude on stage, because this guy was he was giddy. That's another story where he's down and out, disappears. He leaves acting altogether for whatever reason. He can't get the role. Everybody knows him. I forgot the name of the character when he was a little boy. I remember him from Goonies. He was the little Asian kid that was the inventor out of the Goonies squad. And, he also did, of course, the Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then he disappeared for decades. I have no idea where this guy been. He always wanted to continue acting, but I'm sure he was pigeonholed as a little kid in Raiders of the Lost Ark and Goonies, and I'm sure that he got hit, a couple of times he got hit with just like a depression, like I don't even think I'm gonna be able to come back into Hollywood. And then all of a sudden this movie comes out, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and the director hired this dude. His name is Kai Hai Kwan. I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name. Kai Hai Kwan or Ki Hai Kwan. And this dude just gets into a movie that just blasts off as what you heard when I'm reading off these winners. And he was so giddy, man. And my guy, what's his name? Han Solo. I can't remember his name. Harrison Ford was on the stage, hugs him. This guy's like, I can't believe it. He was so happy. I'm not even going to knock it. A lot of people would be like, oh, that's kind of, nah, man. If to be in his shoes, everything that he's went through year in and year out, decade in, decade out, and to finally get accepted to be in this movie, and he gets an Oscar, he wins Best Supporting Actor. Big ups to Kai Hai Kwan. Big ups, man. Best Supporting Actress was Jamie Lee Curtis in Everything Everywhere All at Once. A lot of people beefed. A lot of people was beefing. They was talking about Angela Bassett's reaction. Look, I don't even care, man. Auntie, what's up? I would be tight too, because that means that she was really looking forward to winning that Oscar. I don't think she's ever won an Oscar. There are plenty of actors and actresses that should have won Oscars in the past for fantastic, grand performances in the movies that they got into, and they never won Oscars. And Angela Bassett is just one of them. And I would feel some type of way. So I don't knock. Everybody's trying to knock out Angela Bassett. Oh, she should. Look, she's a human being. That's all good to show your emotions in the moment. Jamie Lee Curtis won. I have not seen, like I said, Everything Everywhere All at Once, so I can't make a critique on who did a better performance. I heard Jamie Lee Curtis played multiple roles in Everything Everywhere All at Once. But man, let me tell you, Angela Bassett, when she did the scene as Queen Ramonda, and she was like, oh my God, she was just talking about, I'm the most powerful. I mean, I saw a piece where she was actually talking about how she emotionally, she got into the words of that scene, and she was explaining it, thinking about, everything, the 200-300 years of African Americans, what they've gone through, what we've gone through, and what it means is Queen Ramonda losing her son and then her husband and all that, and she just kind of mashed all those emotions and she pulled it out, man. She pulled it out, and let me tell you, I was feeling every word you did. It hit me. Oh, it did hit me. It hit me. I only saw Wakanda Forever once. All right, not because it was a bad film. It's just that it's not a type of movie that it's not Raiders of the Lost Ark or Indiana the Temple of the Doom. Like, oh, that was a real good movie and it was fun and laughter. There was real emotion tied into this flick because of Chadwick Boseman's passing, and how they tied it into T'Challa. Which, regardless of how you feel, that's where you were for or against. I thought that's what the decision was, but oh my God, the skill, the weight of the emotion that was brought into those words. I'm like, you felt it. You felt every vowel, every consonant, every syllable. And I'm like, word. And I'm telling you, tears did come out down my face. And I haven't seen, I saw it once. I eventually I will see it at some point. I will see it at some point, but damn, man, that hit me hard, man. Yeah, but best director, Daniel Kwan for Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Best animated feature, Guillermo del Toro for Pinocchio. Best original score, All Quiet on the Western Front. Best documentary feature was Navani. Best live action short film, An Irish Goodbye, with Tom Berkeley and Ross White. Best adapted screenplay was Women Talking, Sarah Polley. Best documentary, The Elephant Whisperers. I heard about that. I have to see that. Best original screenplay, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Best visual effects, Avatar, The Way of Water. Of course you know that. I mean, of course. Hands down. I saw that movie in the theater 3D, and I hate 3D. I don't like seeing 3D. I think 3D is a waste of time. But that movie, when I saw that trailer, I was like, that is a must. You have certain movies, you cannot see it any other way. And Avatar in 3D was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. It got me. Best animated short film, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Best cinematography was All Quiet on the Western Front. I have to see that film, you know, and that's what gets me to see a lot of films when they actually win awards. You know, it's not because, you know, they're winning because they know somebody. Probably it does happen, but you know, these films were good. Best makeup and hairstyling, The Whale. Best costume design, Ruth Carter. Everybody get up for Ruth Carter. She won again the best costume design of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And let me tell you, she did the damn thing. Ruth Carter, yeah, I'm surprised she hasn't come out with a clothesline yet, because this woman, her skill, her eye, her way she coordinates colors and patterns. What I even said, leaning over to my wife, I'm like, yo, Ruth Carter did it again. Yo, what is Queen Ramona wearing? Yo, yo, big ups to Ruth Carter, man. I don't know what can happen from what's the next level for Ruth Carter after this, but whatever it is, I'm applauding her. She deserves to be where she is at right now. I hope her phone is ringing off the hook from the biggest designers. I don't care what designer, well, I do care, some designer, but whatever it is that she yo, big it up, man. Big it up to Ruth Carter, man. She was doing her thing. Best film editing, Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's I'm a film editor when I was doing documentaries at the time and doing my TV show. So I'm also big on film editing. The way I learned film editing, guess how I learned film editing? I watched tons of commercials. If you want to get a good idea of what it is to cut a film, watch commercials. They're 30-second shorts. You're in and you're out, and for whatever the message is or the theme of the commercial, don't worry about the brand. It's in the eye of the studio that's cutting, whoever they hired to be the editor for this 30-second, 60-second piece. I've seen some really well cut 30-second commercials, unbelievable, and I learned it from that. And I would rewind it. And if there were effects I couldn't do, I would say fine. I wanted to get the editing, the cutting, where certain videos start, where they end, how they did those things. I wish I had time. I never had time to do it. I wish I just had 3 or 4 more years. The ability to have the room to just really get into the craft. I wanted to get into the Adobe part and doing the visual effects. I think that was the next stage after mastering cutting film. I wish I got into visual effects. I never got into Adobe. I can't remember it. But it's not Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Premiere. I learned Adobe Premiere. I love Adobe Premiere. But like I said, I can't remember it off the top of my head, the visual aspect. But yeah, best film editing, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I love a good film that's cut right, man. In its simplicity, but also in its complexity. Best production design, All Quiet on the Western Front. Best sound was Top Gun Maverick, of course. So yeah, man. So that was crazy. I heard Tem's outfit. The outfits were off the chain. There's too many to go through. Let's just say I hand clap everybody that did their thing as far as what they wear, from the men to the ladies. They did the damn thing. Tem, of course, she wore this huge ensemble. She looked like an angel, but she pissed people off too. One person said, I think on Twitter, was like, imagine you getting a chance to go to the Oscars. You finally get tickets after all those years and you sit behind him. Ruined. Experience ruined. Yeah, so, but yeah, Tim looked great, and a lot of people look great. Like I said, the men that came through, and the ladies. So it's too much. I went to Vogue, and they literally have 100 and something pictures, 189 pictures of everybody came, and it's too much to go through. But shout out to all of them. Kevin Hart. So Kevin Hart, everybody knows Kevin Hart. His comedy show got canceled in Egypt. Our Productions was the Egyptian event management company that was behind it. Said for reasons, quote unquote, logistical issues, unquote. And this is off the fact, and I think I spoke about this before, that he was talking about the ancient Egyptians were black. Ancient Cometians. Kemet, the real name of Egypt, what we know today. Egypt is a Greek word. Yeah, man, he got canceled. Hey, man, it is what it is. The evidence is glaring. And the evidence is glaring. I don't know how to, and this don't disrespect to Egyptians, man. Once you do the research, I think a lot of it with the present day Egyptians, they've been sold a bag of goods, just like how a lot of Americans are here, how they try to whitewash slavery and the African-American experience here in America, and even the indigenous people, just the same way where they try to whitewash it in America's educational system. It's the same thing what's happening in Egypt as far as who the people were. I know a lot of a few Egyptians that are here that says, you know, my history goes back 5,000 years. I'm like, what? I don't bother with it. You know, it's not. It was never ever when I heard these words, the time and place. It was never ever the time and place to bring it up, and I just let them talk. I'm like, whatever. But my thing is, the history is there. You have no idea how much France and England got hidden, like on some real Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom business, where they have a huge haul of nothing but trinkets and statues and coffins and cups and the pottery. You think you've seen the stuff in the museums in England and in France, whatever. You have no idea. And then there's too much evidence already. The pictures taken, the hieroglyphics, everything is like, okay, that person's black. And there is an image that I saw where they literally matched up the statues and the images of the ancient Cometians, the ancient Egyptians, to present day Africans now in the region. It is uncanny. It is uncanny, and you see the influence. And it's wow. Not only do you see the influence of ancient Egypt into today, but it also brings up the question like, wow, what is it that you have the influence of a culture that died thousands of years ago? Or, yeah, let's say that, where the people that died and culture that died thousands of years ago still today exist. Whether it's the adornments, the jewelry, the clothes, the hairstyles, it's still, it is amazing how these things, you think that ancient Egypt, because it existed thousands of years ago, that over time things would just eventually just disappear and wither away, and you'll never see it again, and all that you see is what you see in the pictures in ancient Egypt when you see the tourists go there. No, it is still living in the people today. That is, to me, that is, I can't, I was just staring at these images when they were making the comparisons of the present day Africans and the Africans of old in ancient Kemet, and I'm like, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it, man. Not just the pyramids that stood the test of time and sand, but also the culture, the society, and the clothes and everything. As I said before, it's just wild. Anyway, so Kevin Hart, he got a bad setup with that whole situation, but you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? Kevin Hart, rock on. And hey, man, I would love to have a dialogue with, Zahi Hawass. I'm sorry. One last thing. Zahi Hawass, he's no longer the director of the Egyptian Antiquities, I think in his name. But whoever Zahi Hawass is rolling with, man, they carry on a lot of hard body. Every time someone bring evidence of looking at the ancient Egypt. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I got an email. It looked familiar. I want to make sure it was nothing serious. Where was I? Whatever new evidence is brought to ancient Egypt as far as how the purpose of the pyramids or whatever, he'd be shutting it down. No, it is not. No. I'm doing a bad Egyptian accent. I'm not trying to do one, but if you ever think, but it's bad. But anyway. No, I'm not listening to it. No, it's bad. It's bad. I'm sorry. I can do accents if I listen to it long enough. But yeah, anyway, my bad. Anyway, he's not trying to hear. Whatever with you, Zawi Hawasi, like I said, he's no longer the director of Egyptian antiquities, whatever. The next thing. So I got my eyes checked, and I need glasses. I got my eye checked for glaucoma, and I don't have glaucoma, thank God. Thank God. But it's funny, I was talking to the eye doctor, and a young guy, and cool dude, and I was just telling him that I saw a video. There was an actual video on TikTok. Now, I'm not saying believe everything on social media. There are a lot of things that, okay, if I see something amazing, I always say, all right, I need more evidence, or let me go online and see if I can find anything else to corroborate what I just heard, right? So there was this guy that's talking about scientists have actually discovered how to turn on the youth gene where it actually reverses the age of particular animals, I guess. Of course, all these new discoveries in science when it comes to human or where it points to as far as human biology, it's always tested on rats. So somehow they were able to turn on the youth gene. And it's funny that how our genes are, it's like light switches. You can turn them off and turn them on again, and you can see the effect in the actual subject. So they turned on the youth gene. They had 2 rats, white lab mice, whatever like that, in a cage. They turned on the youth gene for one. The mouse actually got younger. Less gray, more vitality, motion, and the other rat or mouse, whatever it was old. Whatever age is old for mice. And they were saying that they actually not just reversed the age of the mouse, but they can also bring back certain faculties or bring back like certain things as like eyes or arms or whatever the case may be, usage of them by turning on this youth gene. Now, I could be wrong what I'm saying. I will share it on my TikTok. Yes, I do have TikTok. It took me forever and a day to start my TikTok. My face is not on it. I'm not big on showing my face, but I share things that I like to share that I actually agree with, and philosophically, ideologically, and it doesn't matter who's saying it. I agree with them, and that's that piece. And of course I share science. So I saw that. You can see it on my TikTok at Lyfeblood.com, and the guy was talking about they're gonna do this. So it's fascinating. I love science, man, especially when it's cutting edge stuff. So I was telling that to the eye doctor, and he was like, "Yeah, it's not quite like, and I understood." But, he's only going on the established science of what he learned in school. So, new science comes, and he'll be introduced by new things. So it's all to the good. Sorry, I'm always getting text messages. So anyway, I was talking about last show. It was about what to do during if a nuclear attack were to happen, and describing the characteristics of a nuclear explosion, and what do people can have with them in case something like that were to happen, escape. I try to give as much information as I could. Hopefully that can inspire you to look up other information that can only aid you to survive if something were to happen like that. So and I bumped into an article that was talking about Chernobyl that I did mention last week. And it's funny, scientists found that 2 groups of dogs actually that surviving within the exclusion zone near where the explosion happened, near the plant. And the scientists are wondering how these dogs are able to survive, because and the people are living there. But it's interesting that they're finding that these two different groups of dogs that have complete genetic difference, and scientists want to know why they're actually able to live within this toxic environment. They're wondering if it's genetic drift, or there was something to do with the hazardous environment that affected their DNA. But scientists are also studying if these dogs have genes that have developed some form of genetic repair, and so they're all trying to figure this out. And I just find it fascinating reading that article, because they're definitely trying to see in whatever ways that these dogs are surviving in this hazardous environment with a certain level of radiation that is considered unsafe, that somehow once they figure out that how these dogs are doing it, or able to survive based on probably some sort of triggering of some or gene or something for them to survive, that they can use that for humans. Because I just find it amazing that life somehow always finds a way, and it does, man, it does. So that's interesting. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Maybe use I don't really care about what happens in journal. So for all my science geeks out there that love science like me, you understand, we here, both me and y'all, eye to eye. You know what I'm talking about. All right. I thought I'd share that with you guys because some may find that extremely interesting. So yeah, look it up yourself. I forgot where I found it. Just, Google dogs in Chernobyl, and scientists trying to figure out how they're able to live in those environments. Anyway, the other sciencey thing that I want to share with you guys was I was wondering what was going on with NASA Curiosity. There was big news on the mini helicopter that was able to make short flights on the Mars surface, and haven't really heard anything as of late. So I was like, let me see what's going on. And actually, it's still going about. It's been 10 years and it's still exploring the red lands of Mars. And it's funny, it just captures some sort of weird feather-like clouds that was created by the sun rays piercing through. It was wild, man. It looked very alien. But again, scientists at SETI is actually training Curiosity to detect microbes and organisms in a better way by use of, guess what? AI, artificial intelligence. Let me say, it's kicking off, man. ChatGPT really set the races, man. So all these Fortune 500 companies are having their own AI generated tools incorporated into their software. Like it's GitHub got something going on. Google has something going on. I mean, a lot of companies are racing, trying to figure out how they can use ChatGPT or ChatGPT like and incorporate it. So, of course, so they can sell something. It's not to actually make the world better. Not actually to make the world better, is to make more money. And if it makes the world better, then that's all well and good. But let's see if we can make some money first. That's the whole point of it. But it's wild. It's a wild chase. But this is actually a good thing, because the scientists at SETI are trying to train the Curiosity to detect microbes and organisms a little bit better by using AI. And the way they're doing it, they have a similar rover somewhere in Salar de Pajonales, Salar de Pajonales in Chile. All right. So what they're doing is they're having it, they're feeding the machine like 8,000 images and 1,100 samples of rocks, crystals, and salt domes. And they're using that information to go along with some other data sets to teach the program to understand biosignatures. And they're hopefully, by doing this, it's able to detect more. And they have succeeded, because by using this new AI program that they're going to put into the software for Curiosity, they found out that they're able to detect 88% more versus the 10% in previous random searches. And they're also able to match regional orbital data with microbial habitats on Mars by matching it. So they're taking leaps and bounds with this AI, and I'm sure it's going to be like a simple upload, I guess. That's what I'm guessing, to Curiosity, or maybe they have to send a new rover with this new updated software to Mars again. I don't even know what's the next step. They got the rovers all around roaming and taking pictures and samples and sending it back to Earth, and they're studying it. I don't know what's the next step. I think they actually, if I remember correctly, I went to Kennedy Space Center when I went down to Florida last summer, and they said they were sending up a rocket to the moon so they can send material, so they could build a base there, and that base was going to be a launching point for the trip to Mars. So I know that happened. I forgot. I think it's Artemis 1. They did get Artemis up there, but I haven't really like followed it. I just think I think all this stuff is fascinating. What's happening here? Rather what's happening there on Mars and what's happening here as far as prepping for us to get to Mars. Now, my question is to you guys: if you could, and it's a dangerous trip. If you could and you were selected, would you go to Mars? Would you go to Mars? And there's a possibility that you won't come back. There's a possibility you won't, because anything can happen. Anything can happen on the ship. Anything can happen in while you're in transit. Like a meteor comes out of nowhere. You might crash. Say you land and it beautifully, like how the Curiosity did. And then something can happen where, you can fall off the cliff or your suit gets damaged. There's so many variables, and I'm not saying to dissuade people, but this is what you're dealing with when when humans are trying to get to Mars. So besides all that, if you were selected, would you like to go to Mars knowing that these are now there were dangers when humans hopped on I wouldn't even say like a little rickety ass boat trying to get to the next island. It's dangerous. And that was 2 miles away, then 5 miles away, then 10 miles. And then a couple brave few said, you know what? Let's go. Let's see where this takes us. Let's just go towards the horizon. If we hit land, we hit land. If we don't, maybe we'll end up on the other side of where we came from. But, humans were brave enough, and the curiosity was large enough within them that took over them to really, go into the unknown. And this trip to Mars is no different from what humans been doing, whether they were just crossing vast miles of land, tracts of land, going into other continents, early humans, to crossing oceans, and they had no idea what was going to be on the other side, if there was another side. And now to Mars, man. It's what we do, man. We travel, we explore, even though we know the dangers, we still do it. That's what we do. So the next thing, this was a big thing that I had, right? Homelessness. Homelessness is such an issue, man. Oh, snap. I'm on the train and I see homeless folks, and let me tell you something. I've got 4 decades on this planet living in this city, okay? And homeless was always an issue. It was always an issue. New Yorkers have always dealt with it. We just deal with it. We made it a part of our daily lives. We go on a train, we see homeless people. We going out, we see homeless people. We come home from work, we see homeless people. We coming home late from the party, we see homeless people. Homeless people, homeless. Yo, New York, and every time, every mayoral, I guess you want to call it administration. I think you call it mayoral administration, for lack of if I'm saying it wrong. They've always said we're going to tackle homelessness, and homelessness goes nowhere. Actually, I think it got even worse from what I've been seeing. So I did a little looking, and I actually found a site, and I think I've been here before. Maybe I did talk about it on the site before. Memory happens, man. So many things go in his head. So many things flow out. So I actually found a site called Homeless Coalition for the Homeless. You can check it out yourself, coalitionforthehomeless.org. And yes, it is proven homelessness has gone up has gone up. I remember when I was in East Harlem, Spanish Harlem, and I saw a pregnant woman. They were doing work on the Metro North, 125th, where you catch the Metro North. You got to go when you're going upstate, and underneath the overpass was a couple that lived in a cardboard setup on the sidewalk. They were there every day. I was there because I was working over there. And this woman would just roam the intersection, East 125th, and I forgot the up street. Damn, but it was crazy, and the woman was pregnant too. That's the wild part. And there was a time where they were moving, and she would be right in the middle of the intersection, crossing over wherever she was in La La Land, wherever she was at. But it was so sad. It was so sad, the fact that this woman was pregnant and she was homeless in La La Land with this guy living in this cardboard thing going on over there underneath the overpass. And it was real, man. It was real. And I'm like, and the city council office was right across the street. I'm like, wait a second. The city council office is right across the street, and you got the homeless, and you saw people, addicts. You saw them doing. Y'all haven't seen the dope fiend lean in years. I saw needles. I haven't seen needles in years too. I'm not seeing needles on the sidewalk. I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? And by the way, folks, before anybody that's out there is saying, oh yeah, they must have been black, the homeless pregnant lady. Nope, wasn't black. Was not black, even though that's not funny. I'm just saying, because I know all these people be like, they must have been black, right? East Harlem. Some people be like, you saying it was Spanish Harlem? It was Spanish. Nope, wasn't Spanish either. Give up. The lady was white. What? Yes, the lady was white and had dreads. And it was like I said, it was sad, man. And what I did notice when I was around in East Harlem, I saw crackheads, I saw heroin addicts, and there was black, there was Spanish, and it was white. White too, that's the thing. So don't get it twisted. There's people think New York City automatically is black and Latino. Nah, man, there's a lot of people that's hooked on drugs that's white. Half the city is white. So it's a serious problem, man. And homelessness is a serious problem. So I went to Coalition Homeless, and they said in December 2022, there are 69,000 homeless people, 23,000 homeless children, a record 22,000 people are single adults, that is, are in shelters. They said homelessness is up 39%, higher than it was 10 years ago. Homeless single adults has gone up 112% from 10 years ago. Homeless single adults have higher rates of serious mental illness, addiction disorders, and other severe health problems. Black and Hispanic, speaking of black and Hispanic, New Yorkers are disproportionately affected by homelessness. They're saying approximately 56% of the heads of household in shelters are black, 32% are Hispanic Latino, 7% are white, less than 1% are Asian American or Native American, and 4% unknown race. NYC Independent Budget Office, the NYC IBO, they say in 2021, the DHS, Department of Homeless Services, spent $3 billion. The reason why I said the NYC Independent Budget Office, those first statistics I got from Coalition from the Homeless. This particular was from the NYC. Let me see if I could go here. These stats, as far as what's happening and how they're combating homelessness, comes from the New York City Independent Budget Office, as far as how New York is allocating money to really combat homelessness. So on this, they say in 2021, the DHS, Department of Homeless Services, spent $3 billion. In 2021, they spent $3 billion. It fell in 2022 to 2.8, and it fell again to 2.1 billion in 2023. And guess what? The DHS, Department of Homeless Services, they're looking to spend more money on homeless shelters. Mayor Adams, because again, you know what? I shit on this dude. I don't like what he says about the cops, But like I said, I praise them when they're doing something right, and I'm gonna chop them up. I'm gonna give them what the what for when they're doing something fucked up. So Mayor Adams has actually released a new program. It's called Subway Safety Plan to get rid of homelessness out of the transit system. Now, I tweeted on Twitter the homeless issue, and I put pictures on it. And New York City, I don't know where it's from. New York City, I guess Department of Home, whatever. They responded on Twitter. It was like, yo, where was this at? So when you see pictures, that's one thing. But in this situation, I didn't add pictures. I didn't get a response because this time I saw a homeless dude under the seat bench. The dude, I came into the train. I'm like, yo, what is going on? The whole car was, the whole 3 cars was filling homeless people. But the first car that I walked into, it was homeless people all over the train. And one dude was underneath the goddamn train bench. The seat bench, the seated bench, the long one, the one continuous one. New Yorker, you know what I'm talking about. I ain't never seen that in all my years of seeing homeless people. I've never seen a homeless dude sleep underneath the bench. That's crazy. That's crazy. And they're building all of this. I just can't believe they're saying that they spent $3 billion on homeless shelter. Where is that money going? I'm sorry. I gotta say, the NYC Independent Budget Office saying they spent $3 billion. $3 billion of where? Because how do you spend $3 billion on homeless shelters? And then you say you want to spend more, and it's homeless people still on the streets in the subway. I'm just saying, I like what you're doing, Mayor. I'll say that as far as putting that program together, as you said, as your People's Subway Safety Plan to get the homeless out of the transit system. Okay. But $3 billion, $3 billion is a lot of goddamn cash. Where the hell are these shelters at? And why are there still homeless people out in the streets? $3 billion. I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying as a New Yorker. They're saying the most successful to eliminate homelessness is Section 8. But they're running into problems because there were some issues with the amount that was being given and how long it's been lasting. But in May 2021, the city council started the City Fighting Homelessness and Eviction Prevention Supplement, City FHEPS, I guess City FEPS if you want to call it, to match Section 8 subsidy levels and to remove the 5-year limitation for recipients. They're saying the IBO, Independent Budget Office, saying that the program will cost an additional $63 million to get this program going. Now, look, I understand Section 8. I have no problems with Section 8. Everybody needs a place to live. I don't have an issue. Trust me, I don't have an issue. But I don't think people should just be given money just to exist. Because if you let people do that, because I know this personally, as I said before, a long, long time ago, my first girlfriend, her mother was on welfare and she never got off. Never. And I believe her, and I believe her apartment was Section 8. I think so. Never got off of it and really didn't do much. No disrespect. If you listen to this show, if you happen to mix it up, I love her mother. Her mother was a great lady. But at the same time, and I'm like, eh. And I know people that just be on welfare, just be on it, and they'll just say, and I've actually heard that too. I think I was listening to a podcast. I forgot this brother's name's podcast. But he had a guest on the show, and she was saying that her mother has never gotten on welfare, never taken Section 8, nothing, because people that tend to take Section 8 will stay on it forever because it's free money. It's free money. You live in a place, you spend like $50 on rent on your side. I say, knock to me. I know people might knock me. This is my thing because I say this because I got love for my people. I got love for everybody. I got special love for my people. For those that are on Section 8, there should be an ability to qualify for Section 8 if you improve your situation. Like you further your education, which should be provided by the city. $3 billion is a lot of money. You get a skill, you get a trade. If you don't like a certain thing, you don't have to stay on it, but you got to start figuring out how you're going to become independent and get off Section 8. You're not supposed to be on welfare all your life. It's just supposed to give you an opportunity to situate your life and then to move on into bigger and better thtter things, get a better paying job, yada, yada, yada. You understand what I'm saying? I think that's what should be done. Because you get lazy when you get free money. You be like, yo, well, I gotta work. So the city shouldn't just be so cold and cut people off after like a third year. As I said with Section 8, it wasn't enough time. But there's got to be, you got to come with something. And programs should be offered by the city to say, okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to learn? Nova, what if people have learning dysfunction? Okay, it should be dealt with. And I think a certain amount of funding should go to nonprofits that come from those communities, because a lot of times where you have a city-ran facility or program, they tend to treat people a little cold. I think money should be allocated to nonprofits that's going to help people with their learning disabilities so they can figure out. Now, not everybody's going to be a CEO that comes out of poor communities, no. But at least you can gain enough skill where you can get a job and you can figure out how you can sustain yourself. So again, there's a way to do this, but I don't think people should just be getting money for free. What else I got to say in these statistics? Oh yeah, one more thing that should be a part of that: mental health and drug treatment. Mental health and drug treatment for all this millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars is going to dealing with homelessness. A lot of people have mental issues, and I see it on the train. I see it on the streets. You got to get I'm not talking about giving people to wean off their addiction. I'm talking about some real, setting up people for real to wean them off of these drugs, this addiction. And also it's in stages, man. This is not something that you could just throw some program. Okay, you just handle it. You have to be hands-on if you really want to turn around homelessness in New York City. Let this be a blueprint for all major cities on dealing with homelessness, because you have to be able to. We have to be able to figure out how we can whittle down this homelessness problem, and that's going to be serious hands-on mental health clinics, which I know they have. They're going to be like, well, no, but we have this. But a lot of times I hear things get lost in bureaucracy, and people kind of like fall out the sides, and slip, and then, they fall to the wayside and they slip through the cracks. Because even that's what I hear with homeless shelters, man. There's homeless shelters, but homeless people don't want to stay in the shelter because there's no protection for them. They get robbed. They get their things taken. They get beat up. I mean, you can't just set up homeless shelters and not protect people. You have to understand, people have gotten to the point where they've turned into scavengers. You gotta break that out of them. And again, how you deal with homeless issue, or the not just homelessness, the homeless, but also the issue with housing that's connected to homelessness. Now, New York City is becoming increasingly harder every day to find housing in order to live. That is another big nut to crack when you want to deal with homelessness. People got to figure out how they're going to survive. If you don't want them to be on Section 8 forever, you have to build affordable housing for people to live in. You got to. All right. This is my take, and this is how a lot of people might not like this. And this is a random idea I was thinking about. How about there are a lot of ghost towns or small towns in upstate New York. There's a lot of land upstate New York, a lot of land. I went to this town before years ago, and my pops was trying to buy some houses, and he looked it up online. We went there together. The town wasn't great, but I know there's some counties and towns that's dwindling, not a lot of people in. I think that you should be able to take a small town where there's not a lot of people and provide housing, mental health facilities, from that runs the spectrum, people that that needs to be sent to a psych ward and they get treated like that. And for those that, the lighter end of mental health issues, where they can figure out, with help, with assistance, how to get back on their own 2 feet, Housing should be provided. Mental health assistance should be provided. You can build cheap homes in this county. You can tear down these old dilapidated homes that's been there for 100 years. And now you have a county. Oh my God, it's a county in itself. So it's away from people, because a lot of times people in New York City don't like, I'm gonna keep it real, don't like homeless shelters. Because one is like, you have people with mental issues walking up and down the street. If you have this mental shelter, homeless shelter right here next to me, and I got kids, blah, 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 blah. I heard people say that. So, all right. So how come the city or the state doesn't invest if they're going to spend $3 billion? Take an old county, man, and it's away from folks, and they have, homeless people have room to live and to walk around and, all those things. And it can be a self-contained little county, little city. And then people, if they're ready to come out and they have skills, they could come back down to the city if they wish, or move to other counties upstate. I'm just trying to give some suggestions where it helps people out there, but it also, deals with the homeless issues down here. That's just my thought. That's just me. I don't know. What do you think, folks? One guy was like, yo, you trying to throw them away? No, I'm not trying to throw them away. I'm just trying to say it's already expensive enough to do these things in New York City. New York City is an expensive city. So how about we just be cost effective, find an old town county, 800,000 people. I don't know. I'm just saying. The 400 people that's left or something like that, and give a county where, because a lot of homeless people, man. You got to figure out a way where you can deal with that amount of homeless people, and it doesn't have to be the main place for them to stay. It's just, it's a how should I say? It's a temporary setting just to get people on their feet, and they could pass through 4 or 5 years and they get better, and then they pass through, and you know what I mean? So that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so the last thing I would like to talk about. I don't know if I should talk about it, because a lot of people talked about it already, and I'm talking about Silicon Valley Bank. Everybody knows what's going on. It's on Twitter. It's everywhere. Everybody has their opinions. They want to blame VCs. They want to blame the government. They want to blame the founders. They want to blame the people that actually work within the bank, SVB. And it's crazy. It's Armageddon. It's going to be wild. Everything is going to have a crazy cascading effect. Everything is going to crash from Armageddon to it's just an isolated case. So, So I don't know if I should talk about it. It's just wild. We know what happened, right? We know what happened. There's so many news articles that came out, and SVB messed up. I think it's all stupid anyway. I mean, all of these financial actors, these experts, and they've created a super maze of confusion with their terms, with the instruments and all the mechanisms that's put in place solely to make money. You hear all these words and phrases. I'm like, huh? What, where? It's almost as if, the grifters, there's grifters out there, man. They sell you on some bullshit, right? They sell it to you. But the thing is, what grifters know is, those not car salesmen, but those people like in the olden days selling elixirs, and it ain't nothing but like water and food coloring. And they say it's gonna grow back your hair. He coming, and whatever. So snake, as they say, snake oil salesman. But this is the thing. Snake oil salesmen know that their hustle only lasts but for so long. There is a time limit to the hustle that you're trying to run on people, because eventually people get slick. People get smart. Excuse me, not even slick. People get smart. They start to understand they got sold a placebo. They got sold water and food coloring. And then eventually the life of the hustler gets threatened, of the grifter gets threatened, and he better get out of town, and he just moves on to the next town when he knows his time is up, and he does it to the next round of suckers. And sometimes I feel that's what the financial system is. The financial system is a bunch of snake oil salesmen that they run the hustle, but instead of the hustle in a typical county, small county, wherever this may be, this fictional place or this fictional grifter, in the real world, this hustle takes years and years and years. Sometimes people never figure it out. And then when people do start figuring out, this is what I see that's different. The grifters come up with a new hustle to place on top of that hustle. And then they don't wait until the first hustle gets worn out or the second hustle is on its way to being worn out. They'll start a third hustle and a fourth and a fifth, and they squash it down and they create this complicated, convoluted mess of a maze where people get to chasing their tail, trying to figure out how to save or make money. And it's all a freaking game. It's just one big maze and you can't get out of it. And some people do, but most people don't. And that's what I feel when they say all these names and these phrases and instruments and derivatives and commodities and securities and money markets, and there's all these names, and it's like, oh my God. Because at the end of the day, people just are trying to figure out how to live, how to save enough money so they can retire, but also have a little nest egg where they can pass it on to their kids. And when they do this, and all of a sudden the trick bag comes, and then all of a sudden, poof, their money is gone, people get upset. They don't give a fuck about what's going on behind the curtain. All they know is their money is gone. Okay? You got 3 card Mountie, or you got the 3 little half shells with the bead, the bead under it. All they know, their money is gone. Wherever that bead went, or with the half shells, the 3 half shells. Okay, look, is it right? If it's left, is in the center. All they know, their money is gone. And people get upset about that. So that's what I feel is what's going on. And I encourage people in this. What's happening with SVB is reminiscent of what went on in the housing market crash, I think in 2008. And there was a great a documentary that pretty much nailed it, to the point where there were people that were getting upset right on camera. I forgot the director's name, but the name of the documentary was called Inside Job, and it was narrated by Matt Damon, and it thoroughly broke down why the housing market crash happened. And to me, it was explosive. And it's happening again, and it's happening again. And in some way, shape, or form, it happens again. And the hustle continues, and here we are, right? So, yeah, look, at the end of the day, SVB, the market was going hot. Interest rates were low. People were investing. VCs were throwing money at founders. Founders were spending up the wazoo. A lot of money was getting thrown around. SVB was a bank for Silicon Valley. All the VCs said, okay, here's the money. I'm going to give it to you. Throw it into SVB. Some people were saying other banks, even when they got their funding, other banks would not give them, lines of credit. So they had to go to SVB in order to get a line of credit. So all this money was flowing into SVB. They were living on the top of the golden hill. And then things started getting too crazy in society, in the financial market, and it was running too hot. And the Fed said, wait a second, inflation is going crazy. We gotta cool the market. And the only way we cool the market is by raising interest rates. The interest rates is going up. So that means everything goes up. Everything that you took out a loan on, everything that you purchase, the prices go up. That's food, that's housing, that's cars, everything around you that costs something that with a price tag has gone up in ways where you can cool the market. Now, that's what they say. Sometimes I have an issue with this because like, I mean, even when you listen to the experts, they're saying, "Oh, well, you know," it was. I forgot what Twitter a tweet that I saw, and it was actually, matter of fact, it was a politician that I didn't like whatsoever when he was running his campaign. I forgot his name, forgot everybody's name, but the fact is, this politician was pretty much saying to this individual, I think he worked for, I guess, SEC or something like that. Not SEC, the federal government, whatever, financial, whatever. But he was pretty much saying, okay, if you raise interest rates is tied into the job market. How many people will lose their jobs? How many people will keep their jobs? And he was pretty much saying in the conversation, and to say it on camera, the politician that was directing it toward this man. Maybe I think I saved it. Let me see if I can find it. Oh no, that's not it. Directing it to this man. Where is my? See if I find Twitter here. Because I say I bookmark a lot of things here. Let me see if I could find it. Let me see. Go down. Did I save it? Did I save it? I don't think I did. I I'm scrolling. I don't think I did. Anyway, the point is, the guy was saying in a roundabout way, I wish I'm mixing it up because I'm not remembering these people's names, that, okay, what you're trying to do, the only way where the market is going to calm down from running so hot is people have to lose their jobs. That's what will need to happen. And it's tied into the inflation rate. When it hits a certain mark, that's going to be, it's going to trigger a job reduction or a loss of jobs. And that's what's actually going to be in the prime space for this society to be in a real recession. And that's how you cool the market. I'm like, that's kind of cavemanish, right? You're just trying to take a big club and knock it over people's heads to stop them. I did not like that, but he proved it on camera, even though the guy did not admit it. But this politician cornered him in the way he was wording it, and it's true. And I'm like, wait a second. So that's how you're going to do quote unquote, cool the market from this inflation that's happening in this country? Anyway, so back to SVB. So when things got a hand, as I said, the Fed wanted to raise the interest to cool the market. So SVB dumped their money in these long dated bonds that he invested in. They said, okay, in ways where this institution can protect itself against inflation, they would take all their assets, the money that they have, and put it in these long dated bonds. And what is a long dated bond? They say a bond, it's a bond that represents, but first, what's a bond? A lot of people may not know. A bond represents a promise by a borrower to pay a lender their principal and usually interest on a loan. It's offered by governments, municipalities, states, etc. The bond has maturity rates, which goes 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And of course, it has an interest rate connected to it, because once it reaches its maturity, then you will get paid back with interest on the bonds that you bought into. And again, here we go with government bonds. And say the interest rate for U.S. Treasury bonds is 6.78. So that's what the bank did by tossing all their money into it. Now, this is the thing. This is the catch. If you pull out money out of the bonds that you put money into before the bonds mature, you lose value. You lose money on that investment that you made. I forgot how much it was, but you lose money. So pretty much SVB they were in a pickle, knowing that everybody was, because the interest rates were high and the VC community started saying, wait a second, we're hearing some funniness going on in this bank. They were telling their portfolio companies that maybe it's a good idea for you to pull your money out, because it may be problematic. If you keep it in there, you could lose your money. So, of course, everybody was talking on Twitter and social media, and eventually all these founders started, basically a bank run happened. So, in order for them to keep the promise to all the depositors, SVB Bank had to eventually sell some of their bonds, which they knew they were going to lose money on. The funny thing is, a Moody investor said they were in serious financial risk because of the investment that they decided to take by doing this bond deal. and they were at risk of getting a credit downgrade. Now, SVB was in a pickle to the point they said, well, if we offload the bonds at a loss, we risk scaring our depositors. But if we don't do it, and we might deal with the same thing. They decided to sell the bonds anyway. Oh, yeah, excuse me. So if they did sell the bonds, they were at risk of being downgraded as far as, from Standard & Poor's, Moody's or whatever. They were at risk of being downgraded as far as the health, the financial health of the bank. So that's what they were in a pickle. They was like, okay, sell these bonds and then we're going to scare our depositors. Or if we don't do it, we're going to end up getting downgraded. It's going to be the same thing anyway. And there's going to be a run anyway. Well, they decided to sell and it happened. They got downgraded and the rand began to take off. And it happened. So this is my thing. That's just a quick and dirty version of how I understand what took place, right? Obviously, there's some issues that's happening within this. And of course, everybody was afraid that there was going to be a massive, domino effect, and it was going to hit the real estate market, and there was so many other businesses. I mean, let me tell you, a lot of them were saying, I saw on Twitter, some of the founders were saying, no, it's not the one, because people were arguing, oh, you're going to bail out the 1%? No. There was the opposing argument where people were saying, no, there were some founders that they were just trying to meet payroll. They have a certain amount of money in the bank. If SVB does not get saved, then they lose everything. But there was a huge chunk of SVB's assets, I should say, depositors that were no close to 250,000. They were a lot of institutional companies, legacy companies, was tossing in hundreds of millions of dollars, and there was a lot at stake here. And I knew the federal government was they had to do something. The federal government had to do something because there was going to be a problem. So the federal government came in and they bailed them out pretty much. They bailed them out. Everyone was going to be covered no matter what. If you were a top-notch depositor with hundreds of millions of dollars to ones that only had $100,000 in the bank and they were at risk of not being able to pay payroll, they were covered. And, they did it. What I'm concerned with, not so much of SVB being bailed out. I don't care what words, because people would say, oh, they weren't bailed out. It was a backstop, and whatever you want to call it. There has to be a learning lesson here. The federal government just can't come in, bail out Silicon Valley Bank. Everybody's cool, and we go back to business as usual. What can we do to make sure that these banks like SVB don't get their nuts in a vice? What I personally think, as far as depositors are concerned, you got to diversify your money. Don't put all your money in one bank. If you got a couple $1 million, spread it out. And I know, 250,000. They were saying basketball, some Greek dude, a black guy with a Greek name, but Africanized. I don't know. I forget his name. Stemnopoulos, something like that. Anyway, they're saying that he kind of like spreads his money out to many different banks, and that's great. That's a lot of legwork. I don't know if people will be able to do that. If you got $800,000, $1 million sitting around, you can break that up. But what if you have 20 million, with 30 million, 50 million? And I'm talking about the high-end earners, of course. I'm just saying, what if you're in that position? You don't have the ability to spread those banks out. I'm not talking to you guys right now like I have solid solutions. I'm not a financial analyst. I'm not a financial expert. I'm just looking at it as a regular old guy, looking at what happened, knowing that something has to change and it cannot continue in the way that it has. Because if you don't change the way things are going, it's going to happen again, and it's going to be a whole lot worse. A whole lot worse, and you're going to risk having another housing crash of 2008. As much as I hate the word regulation, as much as I hate the word, you're going to have ironclad regulations to ensure that banks do not put themselves in these positions, in the very same place how it's consistently been from one calamity to the next. That's my personal feeling. These banks are throwing money, taking investments, taking depositors' money and putting it into other places. And I get it. But SVB put themselves in such a corner that, as I said before, they basically upended their books. And then I from what I've read, they were saying, as I said before, people were saying, hey, SVB, wherever the players on in the high chairs in SVB, you can't keep going like this. You can't keep going like this. There's no checks and balances. Anyway, enough of my financial advice from Nova Phoenix. You know what I'm talking about, y'all. You know what I'm talking about. I leave it to the experts. I try to read as much as I can, listen to as much Twitter Spaces and podcasts and all these things so I can wrap my head around it to see where things, because it's not rocket science, right? Once you pay attention to it close enough, you'll start to find out where the inconsistencies are, where the weak links are, and you say, hey, what's going on over there? But the problem is people are making so much money that they want to pull you away from it and say, no, that wasn't the problem. It was over here. It's not hard once you pay attention close enough and you read the paperwork and you see what's happening. Like, okay, that's where that happened. It's not hard. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing as bills. When politicians pass bills, they make it super complicated, and it's like they have to use some sort of a hand truck to wheel in the thousands and thousands of pages to make a bill. Of course, bills don't have to be super complicated like that. It doesn't have to be theater where you got to pull out all these pages. It's to intimidate you so you won't read the bill. Okay? But they have money, they have paralegals that they could do all of that shit. I mean, I'm serious. Like, you just YouTube it, man. It was a bill or something that I think during the Trump administration, they had to take hand carts and wheel them out. That's stupid. Really, bills should be 15, 20, 30 pages at most, right? Not the ridiculousness that we see. So it's the same thing with the financial system. It don't have to be super complicated with many different levels and phrases. And the only reason why people do that shit is so they could get away with the bullshit. They can steal your money. So you could be scratching your head like, what did he just say? That's why they do all that bullshit. Let's keep it, as they say, you got to play the KISS game. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple. Same thing with bills, 20 to 30 pages. Get to the nook and cranny what we need. Same thing with our financial institutions. I'm not saying you can't make money, but you can't make money where you go in blind and then you paint yourself in a corner, and all of a sudden you expose not only the bank but the entire financial system, and it comes crashing. Because you could say, well, let it crash, but you have to look at it the other way and say, wait, there's a lot of jobs, there's a lot of business owners, mid to small size, that are connected to this. All right, so we got to think this through. So anyway, that's all I got to say. I appreciate you guys for listening to me. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to continue on. I'm taking up other people's time too much. And then I'll see you on the next go round. All right, folks? I'll see you. Peace.
Yo, check it.
You just listened to GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com. For the global community.
We worldwide, baby.
See you in the next go round. From right here to your town. We out.